Welcome to Retrospectrum, the podcast where we like music, we hate music, we love music, and we love talking about music.
Yeah, I think we hit all three of those phrases at some point over the course of season
Most
two.
definitely.
Yeah, sometimes more than once. This is our annual season recap. We have completed our 13 episode run for season two and kind of want to get together and reminisce and talk about the highs and lows and delve into some stats and stuff like that.
And just do some chitty chatting.
So congrats, man. We did it. 13 more eps in the bag. 13 more bands that we have heard every song by.
I can't even believe it, except for the fact that I'm so tired and so busy all the time and only consume media for this. That's the only way I can believe it.
Yeah, since our last band, I have taken kind of a musical hiatus. I just listened to a couple of records for the first time today that were like non-podcast related. And you know what I thought while I was listening to them?
What?
Oh, maybe we could do this band for a podcast.
Every time. Every fucking time.
Yeah. So, way to go. We have taken a thing that we enjoyed and turned it into homework.
I'm pretty good at ruining things, I feel like. Taking the fun right out of it.
Yeah, what else do we enjoy? What else can we commodify? And
I re-listened to all of the season 2 episodes. I've been doing a weird thing lately. You're talking about your music, listening to a couple records. I've been sitting in silence, which I haven't really done in like years. I don't know if ever.
Have you seen the trend of people raw dogging flights?
Ew, how?
Where they get on a plane, no headphones, no books, no music. They just sit on an airplane and fly the flight the whole 1 second at a time.
Those are the motherfuckers all chatting it up while I'm trying to sleep and pissing me off.
Yeah, I'm not an airplane chatter either. I get the biggest headphones I can find and put them on immediately. And
exactly.
Even if I don't have music playing, I have the headphones on just as a...
My trick is I put on a hoodie backwards and I put the hood over my face the entire flight.
Well, that is a great way to get people not to talk to you.
That's genuinely what I do. And then I just meditate, basically.
Yeah.
And listen to my fly time playlist.
So do you think you're rebuilding your attention span this way?
Not necessarily to rebuild my attention span, because I do meditate every day kind of for that purpose in a way. I mean, it definitely does have something to do with attention span, but it was also, I thought maybe I could like discover some thoughts that weren't infiltrated by any other kind of media in that moment, because like all the media I consume all the time is always mixing together in my head with whatever else is in there, all my other experiences and thoughts and all that shit, and it's always coming up with new connections and ideas based on all that mixed together shit. But like I don't have very many moments where I'm where there's silence, where there's not something adding in that moment, you know what I mean? So I don't know.
Or like you're responding to some stimulus,
yes,
a
exactly,
song or
exactly.
movie or whatever. Yeah.
Yes, exactly. Because listening to music triggers like memories and ideas and all kinds of shit when I'm listening to it. And then I'll start researching something as I'm listening to it, and it guides me in a way. So I was kind of, I don't know, just being self-guided for a month or so. I've been doing some silence. It's kind of weird, but...
Do you recommend it? Have you noticed any changes or...
I actually, maybe, yeah. I kind of feel maybe a little bit more still. Like, you know how in the Patty episode, I was talking about how I didn't really, like, she had a comfort with existence. It seemed like that I didn't have. I mean, I don't know how comfortable she is with existence in reality, but the way she responds to things and the way her presence is just seems like she's like, I kind of give off a frantic or anxious energy, you know what I mean? And she doesn't really have that. And I would love to be more like that. And so maybe the silence thing will help.
Will not make for great podcasting.
Totally. It'll become a little more NPR and a little less our Spice Girls episode.
We'll have an hour at the end of every episode where we just sit in silence and see what new thoughts arise. You mentioned kind of drawing connections. You had said that you found some in your re-listen and kind of review of everything. You had found some stranger connections between some of these. Do you want to get into a few of those, or do you want to do stats first?
Let's do stats first, I think.
Okay. So I compiled not everything, but like I tried to get a good sense of like how much we listened to and what we did, and there's some kind of little funny quirks in here too. So I did my best to put together a list of like how many albums we listened to across the 13 artists for this season, how many tracks, did some averages, and I found some interesting things. So overall, for season 2, we did 13 artists. We listened to 137 albums. If we just count full length studio albums, which is right at about 10 albums per artist. Some obviously higher, some obviously a little bit lower, but it averaged out right about 10 albums.
I think last season you said it rounded out to like 8 per band. That sounds like a lot. 137 sounds like a fucking lot.
Yeah, it is. I think that the 8 to 10 albums is kind of the sweet spot for this. I think anything less than that, it's kind of difficult to have enough of a shape of their phases and like changes and stuff. I think anything more than that, and it becomes kind of a bit too much of a like too much monotony, too much of the same thing. Now, when we get into tracks, so 137 albums for individual tracks, and there's some wiggle room here on how accurate this is. I made a playlist that had 1,440 tracks, but that was all the albums that were on Tidal. And I know that not every album we listened to was on there. So I found some of the filler albums that weren't on there, and I got it up to 1,513 tracks, which caps out at 95 hours and 10 minutes of music, of just straight music, like just listening. If you started it.
And we actually did more than that.
Oh yeah. This is like bare minimum stuff with this. Doesn't have any EPs or live stuff.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure this was more than last season. How's that? How did that happen?
Well, I have some. You'll see here in a second. And that's about 4 days solid of music.
Oh my god.
Like just from front to back on all the
time. Wow. Imagine if we started at day 1 with Patty #1 and went through all of them nonstop for 4 hours. I would perish.
I have a playlist that would allow us to do exactly that.
Oh, shit. Don't do it. Don't do it.
Yeah, I'm not going to, but we could.
I don't recommend.
Yeah, so over 4 straight days of music, I split it between you and me, like between the bands that we chose, which I took out MC Hammer because it was the random wheel. So I didn't really attribute his stuff to either of us.
Rude.
Your bands, you had 51 albums between your 6 bands. Well, it would be an unequal number if we
totally
in there.
Mm-hmm.
So this was
I was just saying rude for him being him. You know, he would get his feelings hurt for being excluded.
That's not where he would get his feelings hurt in his interactions with us. You did 51 albums, 494 tracks for your artist. My artist, 76 albums, 898 minutes or 898. That sounds
right.
Tracks.
That sounds right.
The only reason I left that in is because I knew that you would get some vindication there.
Thank you very much.
I didn't quite double up the amount of songs that you had, but I got pretty close to listening to twice as much. I'll
making us listen to twice as much, not listening to twice as much, because we both listened to it. Thank you.
On that.
By season 4.
The big differences. So I did most and least. Most albums by artist, Fats Domino, 24 albums.
I thought that was going to be the case.
That's where the big outlier is, because he had so many more tracks. He had the most albums and most tracks, 24 albums, 274 songs.
Wow.
And possibly more that didn't make it on the list.
And it didn't hurt at all.
No, that was kind of what I thought was funny. In my head when I was thinking about it, I didn't expect him to be the longest, but his...
I did, because he just did so fucking many. And we didn't even do them all.
Yeah, but it didn't feel like it was the most.
Yeah.
The other end of the spectrum, the least amount of albums and tracks, also the same artist, which makes sense, was Spice Girls.
Oh, yeah.
With 3 albums and 31 songs. That kind of tells us both ends of the spectrum. I also did the longest single song, which was attributed to one of my artists, Iron Maiden.
Oh.
Empire of the Clouds.
I was going to guess Chumbawamba.
At 18 minutes and 1 second. I kind of anticipated Patty having the longer song, but I forgot about that 18 minutes.
18 minutes is
Iron Maiden song.
It was their NoFX, their decline.
Yeah. The shortest track, coming in at a whopping 5 seconds long, was a song by the Gorillaz.
Oh,
It was an interlude. It's called Interlude Elevator Going Up. And so I think it's just the sound of an elevator door dinging. So that came in at 5
Classic. That sounds seconds. Like something Chumbawamba would also do.
I thought that they might have the most tracks. They were the second most tracks, Chumbawamba was.
So did you include MC Hammer in all these stats?
Yeah, he had 10 albums, 121 songs. So it averaged out to 11 songs per album and about 3 minutes and 45 seconds per song average, including all the super long songs.
Those are pretty long songs, even at 3:45.
3:45 is about the perfect amount of time for a song. So
I like a good 2.5 minute, every now and then.
Yeah. But I also like a 10-minute one.
I like a good 18-minute. Yeah, exactly.
So I thought it was interesting that they fell in that, 3.5
that is
range, and 11 tracks per album is about the right amount of tracks per album.
Right.
Some more, some less.
Averages are average for a reason, I guess.
So that's kind of the season by the numbers. There's some other stuff in here, but I'll just see if they come up over the course of our conversation. But yeah, I all the high numbers were my fault. All the low numbers were your fault. But I think that average.
You mean blessing?
I think that that 10 albums per artist, about 10 or 11 tracks per album, is about the sweet spot for doing this.
That really was me trying to balance it out. Because imagine how little free time we'd have if I did as many as your choices, So from day one, you've been creating all kinds of stats since day one of this podcast, and I really enjoy that about you. And it's funny because I feel like from the very beginning, we didn't necessarily say we were going to do that, but you do all this like technical shit and I do all this loosey-goosey shit, and it blends together in a pretty fun way to me anyway. But I just thought it was funny how like you immediately took on that role of like giving us the numbers and the facts and the, you know what I mean? I fucking love that anchor,
Yeah.
But so from the beginning, you have been creating like a chart with connections to all of them. And usually what are your connections usually? Will you explain your process?
Yeah. So I tag either the members of the bands and other projects they're a part of, or artists they've collaborated with, or record labels they've been on. Those are the main hubs. Occasionally there will be things like studios that they've recorded in, or locations that are like prominent in their careers, or producers even, is like sometimes bands will have the same producer across different albums. Most information like that I just create a tag for, and that way if another artist has that same person, when I start to make that tag, it kind of autofills and creates that link between the artists. The biggest ones are band members, collaborators, and record labels for the most part.
And it looks like a sick constellation. It's like the L Words chart, like the chart, meets 6 Degrees of Kevin Bacon for the straights. It's like
that was kind of the inspiration of like how many steps would it take to get from this artist to this other artist, or like where are the weird intersections that you wouldn't necessarily like. I don't know that I would draw a lot of lines between Tina Turner and Iron Maiden, except for all of their records were released on the same record label, and so they actually have a really close knit.
Right, it's literally a one
step.
How many degree? 1 degree.
Yeah.
6 Degrees of Iron Maiden.
Well, and we've done a lot of hub artists that have a lot of different connections to other people. The hardest one for this season was Selena, because she was a little more in a different realm of the music industry. I
had a hard time getting some Chumba connections, which I was kind of surprised by.
Yeah, we did a lot of British stuff this go around.
There's a lot of connections that are like all these people are from the same location kind of a thing, or like from the same music scene. But yeah, so I was trying to research and see if I could find any like vaguely amusing connections. So you want to hear some of them?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, there's a lot, so buckle up, I guess. We'll start with Patty. She was friends with the Clash bassist and danced on stage with them during I'm So Bored with the USA at some show in London. Can you imagine her dancing on stage with them? That is like so cute to me. It's so fun.
Yeah, 100%. I could definitely see them at the same place at the same time.
And so these are season 1 connections. I should have started there. These are connections to season 1 bands. But I did both seasons, but I'm starting with season 1. She influenced Bikini Kill And she influenced U2, which was on the Wheel of Death this season, oddly enough.
Yeah, see, for mine, I skipped influence because that's
Yeah.
like a soft connection. I
Well,
was
yeah,
really
and I
looking
feel
for
like
more.
all these bands are influenced by each other. You know what I mean?
Right.
And especially
Yeah.
like Patty, and especially the most of the ones we choose. Like I noticed when doing this that most of the bands that we've chosen have some kind of title that people call them by. Like that's how influential they are. They have like she's the godmother of punk. She's also been called like the punk poet laureate or something.
Yeah.
She performed with Cat Power at a climate change event. The Distillers covered her, obviously, which we talked about in the episode. Patty and Adam from the Beastie Boys were part of the same group that met the Dalai Lama at the same time, which I didn't realize. That's pretty fucking crazy.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, can you imagine Patti Smith and fucking MCA like chilling? Because I totally can, you know. And see, they're both from like the New York scene, and Tribe too. Like a bunch of them like are from the same scenes, even though they're different like styles of music and stuff. She cited Patsy and Tina as influences. Patty did. She covered a Fats song partially in Land of Land of a Thousand Dances, the one that's like Pony like Boney Maroney or whatever. Fats had done that before her, which I thought was a cool connection. Patty and Fats.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that you said in the episode that she's married to Fred Smith of MC5, and this is quite precarious, but MC is also in MC Hammer.
Yeah, see, I don't know about that. I don't. These are loosey goosey.
Yeah, I told you. I came up with some loosey goosey ones. I did Patty first though, so I think we get better as we go. The only ones I could find for Chumbawamba, which were hailed as one-hit wonders, which is so sad because I think Chumbawamba of all the bands in season 2, and maybe all the bands period, has been the most surprising and like potentially the most underrated.
Yeah, I definitely think that's the case. For the amount of work that they've put out and like their body of work, what people know about them and what people have heard about them is so much smaller than so many of the other artists. And it's all good too. Like it's not just they put out a bunch of crap and it all sounds the same. Like it's a really interesting, wildly varying career. Yeah.
Totally. Yeah, and it was funny because after Patty, it like you choosing Chumbawamba felt like whiplash, but then it turned out it's totally in line with Patty. Like once we listened to it, it was really cool to learn the connection I came up with them. A track exists called Texas Thump 'Em. It's a mashup track of Chumbawamba, Tub Thumping, and Patsy Cline, Walking After Midnight. And also there's a Beyonce song in there too. So there's a mashup with Chumbawamba, Patsy Cline, and Beyonce. Chumbawamba and the Distillers are both in the Sellout book that we read. They threw paint on Joe Strummer, and I don't remember talking about it in the episode. And
for when? For what?
He apparently for him being a sellout or something. I was like shocked by this information. It was at like the very beginning of their band happening. They were like saying he cares too much about selling records.
CBS.
Yeah, it was like a whole thing, which I was kind of sad.
It was in 1980. That was pre Chumba.
Yeah, it was Dan Burke right at the beginning of them like doing a thing, and they were like just being activist shits. But Joe Strummer, come on, what a target.
Yeah, they were signed to CBS. I think that was the whole backlash of them being punk rock and then selling out. Like by 1980, they had been, kind of major label artists at that point.
And then the last things was Dunstan cited Patty as an influence, and they referenced the Spice Girls.
In a positive way?
No memory, no recollection.
Yeah, I'm gonna bet not. They also, one of the people on the song where they're listing all the people that need to be
hung or something.
Yeah. They mentioned Cliff Richard on that song, and the song What's Love Got to Do with It was originally written for Cliff Richard.
So Spice Girls was the best-selling girl group of all time. And actually in the episode you had asked if I had the ad pulled up and you wanted me to read it, and I didn't have it pulled up at the time, but I have it pulled up now. Would you like me to read the ad for the Spice Girls?
Sure.
Okay, it says wanted in Old West font, like a fucking old Western poster, which is creepy for starters. And then, okay, it says R.U. 18 to 23 with the ability to sing/dance. R.U. Streetwise, outgoing, ambitious, and dedicated. Heart Management Ltd. Are a widely successful music industry management consortium currently forming a choreographed singing, dancing, all-female pop act for a record recording deal. Open audition. Dance Works. And then it has an address. Friday, March 4th, 11 to 5:30. Please bring sheet music or backing cassette. And it has a phone number.
I like that it starts with like, we're hip, we're cool, we're using letters
The
for
are
words,
you,
and then at
but
the end
it's
it's like, don't forget to bring your sheet music
Exactly.
and 3 reference letters and your briefcase to
with the
audition.
combo of the wanted poster, like
Yeah.
some weird old man shit. Yeah,
Imagine seeing that in a paper and thinking like, yep, that's me. I gotta
I would
go
straight
be
up
at
see that in a paper and think predator.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
I'm
yeah.
gonna get murdered, and that's
Yeah,
pretty
I
much
gotta-
what it was. Let's be real, it was predators.
Gotta let 3 people know the address of that place before you
Yeah,
show
no
up.
shit. So yeah, I've got a bunch of weird Spice Girls connections. They jacked Girl Power from Bikini Kill, which we kind of talked about in the ep. They sampled Sly Sing a Simple Song and If You Can't Dance. I don't remember if we talked about that in the ep
I
or
don't
not.
think so.
I don't remember that. Yeah. In early press, they were billed as a female Beastie Boys due to their high energy rap style, vocal delivery, music video style, and rebellious chaotic energy. I had no fucking idea. I
don't
would
see
never
it.
have thought that. Yeah, no. I
That's a
mean,
bad
they did have
comparison.
antics though. And I guess their music videos maybe kind of had a similar, I don't know. I don't fucking know.
That's a marketing
I was surprised.
idea
And
that does not track.
there's a mashup song called Intergalactic Wannabe. It's a mashup between Beastie and Spice Girls. Apparently Destiny's Child exists because of the Spice Girls. Beyonce told Victoria that like she directly inspired her to, like, the Spice Girls directly inspired Beyonce to start a girl group and like made her feel. And Michelle from Destiny's Child also told Scary Spice that she was like a huge influence on her and wanting to do music. And they both like mentioned that the girl power thing like made them feel empowered. And I just thought that was so cool. Like, how, I mean, yeah, so they sort of stole the term from Bikini Kill and kind of took some of the edge off of it. But again, like we talked about in the ep, it gave it more widespread appeal. And now we have Beyonce because of that. You know what I mean? Like, and all these other artists. It's just cool. It's just cool, all these connections.
Well, and like we talked about, it puts it in front of a new audience that maybe wouldn't have been tuned into what was happening in the Pacific Northwest.
Exactly, because Beyonce is not going to listen to Bikini Kill.
Yeah.
So apparently in 2023, a show called What's It Hour at a theater in Kalamazoo someone covered Patsy Cline and the Spice Girls. Tribe and the Spice Girls both had songs on Dance Central 2, some video game.
2?
Apparently. Dance Central 2. Never heard of it. Elton was in the movie, plus Tina and Elton were in that other movie.
Yeah, I thought,
Tommy,
Elton.
right?
Yeah, Elton was kind of the...
Yeah, Elton and Tina were in a movie together. Spice Girls and Elton were in a movie together. So Elton's a hub. We haven't done him yet, but and Tribe did a song with Elton, even though they had that no homo thing, which I thought was weird.
That was later in their career. The Elton John one was on their last album, and I think that they had kind of come around a little bit on some stuff. And I think Elton John had a quote about either working with them or recording with them or something that kind of like tried to smooth over some of the...
Interesting. Okay, because we did not talk about that in the episode, actually. We talked about how Elton did a song with them, but we didn't connect it to the no homo situation, which I thought was weird that we didn't. When I re-listened to it, I was like, why didn't I clock that at the time, you know? Also, Elton did a song with the Gorillaz.
Oh, really? I don't...
Yeah. And apparently...
I figured the Gorillaz had so many like featured artists or whatever that there would be a lot. There's a lot of branches.
Yeah, totally. And funny
enough,
enough,
a lot of opportunity for connections.
The Spice Girls used to go to Gorillaz parties, apparently, right at the beginning of the Gorillaz getting together, like when they like lived together or whatever.
Yeah, I could see that. That kind of seems like them slumming it a little bit. But like Damon was in Blur, like he wasn't a nobody, you know. So Gorillaz parties were still...
Sure. That's hilarious. Also,
I mean, doesn't it seem like it's 1998? That's height of the Spice Girls.
They were like poor as fuck, you know, and like
not in '98, not by then.
But I don't know if it was 98 when they were doing it. When did the Girls start?
Like 98 at the earliest, I think.
Well, I think it was together. Like right when they lived together. Yeah. So I guess the Spice Girls were like huge by then, huh?
Yeah.
That's fucking hilarious. Cool is cool, man, you know? This is another funny connection. Them and Iron Maiden both had like commemorative stamps by the Royal Mail.
Spice Girls and
Yeah.
Iron Maiden.
And they
That's
also
fun.
donated to the same charity and had a shared roadie or something. Iron Maiden and Spice Girls. Can you believe that?
That's it. Yeah. Hey, you gotta have a job. Everybody's got to work somewhere.
Okay. Tribe connections. They were in the Tibetan Freedom Concert with Bikini Kill and Beastie and Patty.
Mm-hmm.
They collabed with Beastie. They sampled Sly. Tribe and Patty were both in the 2021 Grammy Hall of Fame. Tribe and Tina are both in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Actually, a bunch of people that we've done are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But apparently, Maiden has been nominated 11 times but never inducted. So they wrote the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame telling them to fuck off.
Yeah, that's a travesty. That makes the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame like shouldn't even exist.
Totally, dude. Totally.
If Iron Maiden's not in there.
Like the best metal band of all time. Like what?
Yeah.
Both Tribe L7, Beastie Boys played Lollapalooza 94, and they're connected to the Gorillaz by De La Soul. And that's it for Tribes. And then Tina was the queen of rock and roll, another, title person.
Yeah.
Her connections that are kind of funny. Photographer Bob Gruen captured iconic images of The Clash and also took early high energy photos of Tina Turner in the 70s. And I looked up the photos and they're pretty sick. It almost looks like it was taken on the set of Acid Queen or something, but I'm sure it wasn't. But just the thought of like a guy taking pictures of The Clash and Tina. So just like a fun idea to me. I don't know. Bikini Kill was inspired by Tina, and so was Destiny's Child. And Tina and Beyonce performed together at the 2008 Grammys. She also covered Sly. Beastie, Tina, Hammer, and Maiden were all on Capitol, I think.
Yeah.
Tina and Selena, because you're right, Selena didn't have very many connections. It was one of the ones that had like the least amount of connections. But Tina and Selena both have tribute acts in Vegas. That was how I got them connected.
Well, we've mentioned in the episode, but Selena's on EMI.
Oh, yeah.
It was mostly EMI Latin, but her last album was on EMI proper.
Yeah, I kind of tried to avoid record label connections because that's what you usually do. But
yeah, that was the one that like got her in the web with it because that connects Tina and Iron Maiden too.
Yeah. The Swedish rock band Ghost released an EP called Pantomime, which featured covers of songs from Iron Maiden and Tina Turner. That's my last Tina. So Iron Maiden, their title is the Undisputed Kings of Heavy Metal, which I'm gonna have to agree. I'm not super well.
No argument
metal,
here.
But yeah, they were influenced by The Clash, and The Clash had a producer in their liner notes that just happened to be called Bruce Dickinson. Not the same Bruce Dickinson, but that was a funny information that I found on Reddit. There was a mashup song called 333, the number of the Beastie, which was Iron Maiden and Beastie Boy mashup. And there was a custom fan-made alt code and re-theme for the Iron Maiden Legacy of the Beast pinball machine that was curated called Legacy of the Beastie, and it replaced the Iron Maiden tracks with Beastie Boys tracks. This is some weird ass shit. I know. Imagine playing an Iron Maiden themed pinball game and then like hacking it to play Beastie Boys songs instead.
Was this an official thing or somebody just did that?
It was a custom fan made like code or whatever. They connect to Chumbawamba via the Ole 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 thing. They collect to Patty via Arista. They played
and
rock.
The Clash too.
There you go. They played Rock for the People with the Gorillaz. In an 86 interview, Bruce Dickinson said Mutt Lange's style wouldn't work for them.
Also agree. Solid choice.
Totally agree.
I think he's much more in that like Warrant,
Totally.
Like
I just really got a kick out of that because he was kind of shitting on it.
Although, well, not necessarily. He just has a particular like pop, really, pop radio style, and that's not really what Iron Maiden was about. It might have resulted in Iron Maiden, blowing up, selling.
Oh, that would have been.
But I don't think they needed much help. I think they did pretty good on their own.
That would have yeah, I'm glad that didn't happen. Selena was another one with the title Queen of Tejano. Her connections are few and far between, but in 2025 at the Sundance Film Festival, there were documentaries about both her and Sly and the Family Stone. Two separate docs, but at the same film festival the same year. Uh-huh. Beyonce was a big fan of her and met her at the mall once, like when she was young, and she was really nervous about it because she was like a big influence on her. Chris Perez was a big Iron Maiden fan, which, duh. J-Lo got her start as a fly girl for MC Hammer on Yo MTV Raps
There you go.
and touring with MC Hammer. I thought that was kind of cool. So that's a J-Lo, Selena, MC Hammer connection.
I just saw that another one of his backup dancers is now the head football coach for Sacramento State or something like that, as I was looking for
That's interesting. A guy.
current events. Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah, there's
I wonder if it was the
video
guy
of
with the
him.
hair, the hat hair guy.
No, I checked to make sure it wasn't him. It had a picture of one of the videos and it was not the hair guy. I was really hoping it would have been him. And I was honestly hoping he still had the hair, but 0 for 2 on those.
I actually have another MC Hammer backup dancer connection I was going to bring up later when I was talking about MC Hammer, but it's shared backup dancers with Destiny's Child. It's funny how some of the weird, I mean, those two connections make sense to me, but like the Spice Girls Maiden Rhodey connection is just hilarious to me. So the Replacements were the last best band of the 80s, and they were also, what was the Clash again? The only band that mattered.
Yeah.
And so then the Replacements were the new only band that mattered or some shit. Oh my God, they call them a lot of things. Another one is the greatest band that never was.
Yeah, I like that one.
But yeah, they replaced the Clash as like the second only band that matters. That's what it was. Apparently, Vagrant Records had Saves the Day and Paul Westerberg's solo album.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't get into too much solo stuff with Westerberg.
Yeah, and are you connecting? Well, yeah, and solo stuff gets on a whole other train too. But
Yeah.
I don't know if you're connecting the seasons either.
Yeah, it's all on one big. But I didn't really start until season
great.
2, so it's kind of when I come
would
across.
love to have this online where the masses could access it. I don't know if that's possible, but that'd be sick as fuck. They Might Be Giants wrote a tribute song to the Replacements
Called We're the Replacements.
Yeah, Cat Power covered them.
On the covers album or just at a show?
She did so many covers, but it was on an album. Yeah, it was Here Comes the Regular.
Was it on an album or?
Yeah, it was on the covers album.
Cool. I didn't realize that. That's a pretty.
Well, that's because we hadn't done the Replacements when we
Right.
did Cat Power. So, and she covered so many, it's not like we made a list of every band she covered because it was like half her fucking music. Both the Replacements and Patty played CBGBs, and that's the end of my connections for them. L7 had a song in Tank Girl. So that's a Gorillaz connection. They don't have any kind of title, L7, unfortunately. What would it be? The Cameliest Lips. They wore those camel lips tights and Serial Mom.
Yeah, they have some sort of like not the best band that never was, but like that kind of vein of like could have been, but didn't.
The butchest non-dykes there are. I don't know.
didn't quite make it there.
So as far as connections go, Susie performed a Clash song at a Clash tribute show. They did Rock for Choice with Fugazi and Bikini Kill. They actually stayed at Bikini Kill's house. They were friends with Bikini Kill, actually. So they stayed at their house and gave them a bass amp. They influenced the Distillers, and Brody was in that Pretend We're Dead doc. Jennifer and Adam from Beastie Boys were friends, and they played Lollapalooza 94 together. And Donita was influenced by Patsy.
Yeah, I could see that. All of those make sense.
Yeah.
Like I said, I think the L7 was kind of the older generation to the Bikini Kills. I wonder if that happened when like Kathleen Hanna was on the East Coast and like staying with Fugazi and all them. She kind of did her own thing for a little bit.
They played some shows together, I think.
Yeah.
And kind of maybe stayed at each other's houses or something.
Yeah.
Because they're both from California. It's just,
West
Bikini Kill
Coast.
from Oregon? Yeah, it's West Coast. Yeah, so Bikini Kill's from up north. They're from down south. It would make sense to like tour up and down and like stay at each other's houses and stuff.
Yeah.
I was just like imagining a cute ass L7 Bikini Kill sleepover. That made me really happy thinking about that. I was just like imagining them like fighting over the bathroom or like, I don't know, eating snacks, watching horror movies or something. So Fats was another one with a title. He was the founding father of rock and roll, and Elvis called him the real king of rock and roll.
Yeah.
He was, I think, the very first person inducted in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986. Cool. Yeah, that is cool. And it makes sense because if he's a founding father of fucking rock, come on.
Yeah.
That's perfect. We had talked about in that episode that you would think more people would talk about him more often or something, but I guess it's just been so long that like people just forget. And a lot of people just don't realize how everything influences everything and haven't traced it back yet or
Well, and I think he even retired relatively young from like
Mhm.
releasing new stuff. You know, he didn't do anything new past the last half of the
That's what's
60s.
up. Just bust it out when you're
And
young, and
so
then
there's been a lot of music recorded between now and then. And I think the Beatles soak up so much air, the Beatles and Elvis, that he kind of fits in that crack there a little bit and gets overlooked. Because I was looking for, I still feel like the Fats like resurgence is bound to happen, but there wasn't
yeah.
as much happening with him like currently as there were with some of the other artists we've talked about.
Yeah, well, the Clash and Sly were both influenced by him, but those are older bands too, so it's like
Right.
they're like open about their influence, but
Right. Yeah. I think so many rock artists were, but I don't know that they would point directly to
yeah,
him. That
exactly.
might be
Exactly.
second or third or fourth generation.
Apparently he opened for Tina Turner at Carnegie Hall in 1971.
Oh, cool. That's
Isn't
solid.
that cool?
Yeah.
I thought that was so cool. How a badass of a show would that have been?
Yeah. Great.
They also both performed at the famous Crystal Ballroom in Portland, Oregon in like the late 50s. Fats and Hammer and Tina and Tribe all are in the National Museum of African American History and Culture, which all
Nice.
makes sense. So the Gorillas, they're hailed as the most successful virtual act.
Boy, you make up a category and then say you're the best one to do it. Pretty
Well, I
smart.
mean, we discussed that there's like Alvin and the Chipmunks and,
Yeah.
the
Yeah. If
Archies and
that's your competition, Jim.
right. Gem is truly outrageous.
Not that the gorillas aren't successful, but that's like a small, it
Well,
feels
yeah,
like a
I kind of feel like
big fish in a small pond sort of
totally.
thing.
I kind of feel like most successful virtual act is kind of a slap in the face because I feel like they were trying to be like just
The
a
most
most
successful
successful
act.
act.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like the
Mhm.
Patty, like, don't call me woman, whatever, that type of shit. Like the most successful female art, whatever. It's like I'm just an artist, man. But their connections, they collabed with the Clash members and they were influenced by the Clash. They
Yeah.
collabed with Cat Power. They're influenced by Sly. They collabed with the Beastie Boys. I mean, they fucking collabed with everyone.
Right.
There's a mashup song with the Gorillas, November Has Come, and Destiny's Child, Say My Name. They've played the same shows as Patty. The drummer said he was influenced by MC Hammer, and apparently they directly reference Tribe and call them a key influence, and they were influenced by Fats. And I would say Tina too, based on the Ike connection.
Oh, for sure. And even, I mean, you could go as far as to draw some lines between Tina and their live shows too.
I thought it was really interesting though that the touring drummer of the Gorillaz says he's very influenced by MC Hammer because, like, I don't know, some of the drum beats. Also, they were on the same magazine cover as Shania Twain once. Oh, and MC Hammer and the Gorillaz both had animated TV shows of some kind.
The Gorillas had a TV show?
They had all kinds of various little TV spots, kind of a thing. I don't know if they had like a solid like cartoon show, like, weekly show like MC Hammer did, but they had like a bunch of animated like shorts on MTV and shit. I watched a fuckload of them. A bunch of them were really weird, but like in a fun way, I guess Gorillas were mostly in the 2000s.
Yeah.
But I feel like 90s and early 2000s maybe MTV and like cartoon channels and stuff were like so weird and fun. There was just like a weird flavor to that shit back then.
Yeah, I feel like I've said enough about MC Hammer, but I don't know that Saturday morning show fits in the same artistic avenue as the Gorillas shorts.
Yeah, no, it's definitely more along the lines of like kids and good messages and stuff, which was nice. It was nice.
Yeah, just a different thing.
Yeah, totally.
Those
I just thought it was funny to relate the animation factor. But yeah, it was also really funny to me that they were on the same magazine cover as Shania Twain once. Which like a lot of these connect by being on the same magazine cover as each other randomly,
Yeah.
Well,
there's a lot of year crossover.
Right, exactly. So Shania Twain was the queen of country pop and the best-selling female country artist, replacing Patsy Cline. The connections I have for her, I got some funny ones. Graham Maybe played bass for Shania Twain and for They Might Be Giants.
Interesting.
Beyonce was influenced by Shania Twain apparently and sent her like flowers and a thank you note when she was writing her country album.
See, and like I said, I think that again comes out as influence on Shania Twain on Queen of Me.
Totally. Totally.
Like, so it's the influencing the influence.
Totally.
Sort of thing.
And I like how they're both into it and they're not like,
it doesn't seem bad blood or anything like that.
Awesome.
It's just an interesting.
And it's like they're so different, but not completely different.
And especially when you look at the cowboy
Yeah,
Cowboy Carter stuff. It's like
totally.
that's very much the country pop stuff.
And the
That
album cover with sitting on the horse.
yeah,
Yeah, it's great. Okay, this is a really weird one. Patti Smith was once at a poetry reading in New York where someone read a poem that mentioned listening to Shania Twain.
these are not connections. That's
Patti Smith was in a room listening to poetry, and one of the poets said,
yeah, that's
that
like
they were-
saying somebody was shopping at a store and it played on the speaker. That's not
just the fact that it's documented, though.
which is strange on its own.
I know.
I would not say
That's
that
why I
connects.
included the Kalamazoo one that already irritated you, because I was like, just the fact that it was like Kalamazoo too, and it was so specific. And I went and I read the fucking article. You know what I mean? Like, it was legit. So yeah, I just thought it was fucking funny. Okay, so apparently Tina was like her idol, which we discussed kind of some of that in the episode. And also Shania covered a song that Fats also covered called Don't Mess With My Toot Toot. And I was like, is that a Coke reference? Or what is my toot toot?
I
So
do not
random.
know.
So random, right?
Did she cover that live?
Yeah.
Like as a Fats song?
Yeah. Apparently she was like influenced by Fats or something.
It's a Zydeco song.
Yeah, because they were both covering it. And I was like, as I was finding all these weird ass connections, I was like, I feel like I could make some playlists related to some of this weird shit, you know? So MC Hammer, which this is funny because even our Will of Death is still like top tier shit and has like titles and shit.
Yeah.
Like he was the highest selling rap album at the time. It was the Please Hammer Don't Hurt Him, I think.
Yeah.
And he was also called the pioneer of pop rap, which makes total sense. So the connections I got for him are he hosted a Sly Stone tribute show.
Like a live show?
In the Bay.
That's
and cool. Yeah, he hosts a lot of like charity shows and stuff like that in the Bay, apparently.
When did that happen? When did he do that?
It was either in the late 90s or early 2000s, I think. Capitol tried to get the Beastie Boys to do a Hammer diss track, which I thought was really funny.
I wonder why they disagreed.
I'll tell you. They refused, saying they had no issue with him, had never met him, and he, quote, seemed like a nice guy.
Yeah, well, there you go.
So it's either
good for them.
That, or it could also potentially be the fact that people are scared of MC Hammer. Just throwing that out there. It could go either way. But it makes sense to me. If you don't know the guy, why would you fucking diss him, you know?
Yeah, that seems, especially...
The Beastie Boys are just kind of chill.
Yeah, and like depending on when they were trying to get him to do that, if the Beastie Boys were more popular, you know what I mean? Like it just feels
like, why would you punch down?
And they weren't ever really confrontational, or they were talking about how awesome they were. They didn't really do much about
exactly. Like they wanted him to be like the bad boys, the frat boys, or the heels or whatever, you know, like the wrestling villain. So I guess they were trying to get him to like do diss tracks and stuff at one point, and they were like, not into it, which is great because like that wouldn't have hit, I don't think.
Yeah.
And what they did was way more creative and cool. Yeah, totally. This is my final weird connection. He hosted a benefit show that featured a couple of musicians, or like 3 musicians that have also played with Shania Twain. like backup band type guys.
Band members?
Yeah. Hardy Hemphill and Darby Gould. I don't know if they played with her live or on albums or what, but anyway, that was all my dumb connections.
It's all connected.
There you have it. It's all dumbly connected. So we had joked in one episode, I don't remember which episode, I feel like it was the Iron Maiden one for some reason, about like giving bands superlatives at the end, or at least giving one miscongeniality.
Mm-hmm.
What does miscongeniality mean exactly? I think it's like basically the chick who doesn't win the pageant show, but she's like nice.
Me, it's like, the one that everybody likes, even if you don't.
Yes. So who would our miscongeniality be of all these bands? I don't think it's going to be Patti. It's definitely not going to be Chumbawamba. They're throwing paint on people.
Yeah, as far as like thinking about charm,
Spice Girls could be in the running for you because they wouldn't be the winner of the pageant as far as like what you enjoyed and stuff.
Yeah.
But they're like fun and friendly, and you liked the Spice World movie.
Yeah, I'm trying to think.
Tina could be that for you too, probably. And she was the most gracious and dignified of all of them, I think.
Yes, as far as like quality of human being, I think it may be Tina Turner just for that, as far as like how she handled herself. And
Shania is like that too, though.
Yeah.
And Selena is also kind of like that. Selena was my first thought, but then I was like, but I could see her winning the pageant. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for me, it's definitely Shania or Tina. I think we got to give it to Tina.
Iron Maiden in the mix too, just in the sense of like it was the most unexpected kind of pleasant surprise.
Totally,
and they all 20 different people in that band over the course of 50 years and didn't seem to have any major knocks against any of them, and is well loved and respected and consistent all around the world. So I think there's an argument for Iron Maiden to be made also.
To me, you said surprising for Iron Maiden. To me, the most surprising one of the whole season was Chumbawamba.
Yeah.
Was that for you as well?
Probably just as far as like how far their sound went and changed over the years and how many different places and like how much variation there was in between their albums. Probably the most surprising, just because I had not heard any of it, even though I knew that like earlier stuff was going to be punk rock. I don't know. It's less surprising because I knew it went from like punk rock to the like acoustic folk stuff. So I kind of had that expectation in there. Yeah. So that kind of element of surprise was left out a little bit for me.
I think we were both a little bit surprised at how much we just really loved Iron Maiden too, though. Yeah.
Yes, because I really did expect that one to get a little repetitive by the end, and it didn't. And they're still, out of all of these bands, probably the one that I listened to the most out of this season.
I was going to say, like, what's your favorite or what's your, so Iron Maiden's your most listened, do you think?
I don't know. From this season, I listen to a lot of Patti Smith now. I listen to a lot of Iron Maiden. I listen to a lot of the Replacements and a lot of the Gorillaz.
Yeah.
Like all of those have just kind of become like regular music for me that I'll put on randomly. I think I own at least an album by every artist now. The ones that I don't really find myself revisiting are
MC Hammer,
Spice Girls, and MC Hammer.
Tina,
and
probably.
Honestly, Fats too. Like I really liked Fats. I really enjoyed the process of listening to and learning about Fats, but I don't put his music on quite as often just because it is so specific to what it is.
A vibe. Yeah.
Yeah. And if you're not,
you'd have to be in that exact mood.
Yes. And it's kind of that way with kind of old timey music like that it's so specific that
it's kind of that way with me with like Maiden and shit too.
Yeah.
But oddly enough,
I guess I'm just more often in an Iron Maiden mood than
totally. Well, that's what I was going to say about Selena. She's very specific, but out of all these bands, I think her and Gorillaz are the two that I listen to the most at this point. Yeah. Which is funny. I just put on a fucking Selena album the other day and went and had lunch out in front of the junkyard, just watching the fucking giant claws picking up scrap metal. Sometimes I like to have lunch at the junkyard. But I was listening to Selena while I was watching that.
That's why AI will never replace you.
Exactly. Fuck AI.
That's probably Patti, Iron Maiden, and Gorillaz. I think those three have become the most often. Like when I just want to put on a record or whatever, they're kind of go-tos at this point.
So do you have a favorite of all the ones we did this? It's so hard to choose because there are so many good ones.
No, I genuinely found something to like about all of them. It's interesting because even if it's not music that I listen to, like I have now this association with the process of doing it and recording them and stuff. And so like there's still some sort of like positive mental connection with it, even if it's not music that I necessarily enjoy. So that has kind of been a fun result of this that I maybe didn't necessarily expect. Is like, yeah, I'm kind of into all these bands now, even if I didn't necessarily like listening to all their albums in a row. I still have some sort of like positive association with them.
Well, yeah, it's kind of like how I was talking in this Shania episode about how a lot of what got me through it was the nostalgia factor. So it's kind of like that. It's just because we've been exposed to it and we're aware of it now. It's easier to enjoy or something.
Mm-hmm.
Which is another great reason to expose yourself to like different cultures and stuff, because it helps you be more familiar with it. So it's less, different and scary when you interact with other people in the real world. I think listening to music like this could actually just make you a better person all around.
Yeah, and I like having these little tidbits or facts or whatever when something's playing. I like to know like when and where it was recorded and who played on it and stuff. Like I like having little factoids about it. That's been really fun because I'm a person that has IMDb open when I'm watching movies, so I can see what other movies people are like. I just like seeing all these connections and like getting a little bit deeper,
totally,
knowledge or whatever with these different bands.
I wish I could actually access the information once I take it in. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I've like absorbed so much information about all these bands, but like it's just hidden in the files somewhere and I don't know how to access it. Like every now and then I'll be triggered out in public. Somebody will say something and I'll be like, did you know Tina Turner did that too?
Yeah. And it's not all like looking back. A lot of these bands are still currently either active or doing stuff. Patti Smith and Iron Maiden and L7 and the Gorillaz and Shania Twain are all still actively playing shows. Like in the next year, you could buy tickets to see shows to all of them if you were so inclined and could travel all across
girls.
the world, you know?
Who are we going to go see?
I would go. I honestly, that's the thing. I would go see any of them live just because we have this, like, wouldn't it be fun if we went and saw Shania Twain in Vegas or whatever? Like, that would be a crazy fun show.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we ever talked about this, but we saw MC Hammer together and didn't remember it. And then I found footage of it later and was like, whoa, who knew? Like 10 years later, we'd be doing a podcast episode about this shit and not even remember that we saw it live at one point.
You have told me that, and I still don't remember it happening. So
I have to find the video.
I believe you that it did.
I'll send you the video.
Yeah. We watch a lot of like documentaries and stuff for this. I did find like some new or like since we've talked about them documentaries that have come out. The Spice Girls, what's her name? Beckham. What the fuck's her
Victoria. Posh Spice.
Spice Girls Victoria Beckham had a 3-part documentary on Netflix, but apparently it doesn't talk about Spice Girls.
Fuck is it about?
Like it just follows her in the other areas of her life, fashion.
I was going to say, what are the other areas?
Oh, also Mel C's releasing new music. There's supposed to be a new Mel C album coming out in May. And she has a bunch. She had like, it's like her 9th album or something. So there's a lot of spin-off stuff.
I'm pretty sure that album got advertised to me.
Yeah, I bet. I listened to about 10 seconds of the newest single and was like, yep, that's that.
Yeah. A Tina Turner documentary got advertised to me as well.
Selena has a new since we recorded the episode Netflix documentary about her and her life.
That may be the one that was in the 2025 Sundance with the Slice.
Probably. I think it came out like the week after we released the episode, like right when we released the episode. Did you know that Finn Wolfhard, the dude from Stranger Things, is writing a biopic based on the Trouble Boys, the book about the Replacements?
I did know that. I found. When did you send me that? Yeah, I think you might have sent me that.
Yeah. So it's funny to see, like, we look backwards on all these artists and kind of follow their albums and all that stuff, but it's fun to see like their resurgence in pop culture. And I don't necessarily have Google alerts set up on the bands, but it is fun. Like when I see that Finn Wolfhard's doing a Replacements movie, it's like, oh, I know that book. I've listened to that band. Like I know about that band. So it just gives me another little thing to latch onto, to pay attention to and kind of watch for, which is really fun.
And it just, before that would just kind of,
yeah, like who cares?
Yeah, it would just kind of, it wouldn't be on my radar, I guess. Yeah. If we hadn't learned way too much about the fucking Replacements or whatever already. Yeah.
I don't know that it has changed my taste in music, but it's done a lot to like widen my scope of what I look for and what I look at and what I pay attention to, if that makes sense. It's just incorporated a lot of new avenues for me to see things or to connect to things, which I really appreciate.
Yeah, totally. I don't know. I feel like it's just a good thing to do to keep your brain sharp, honestly.
Yes.
Just keep exposing yourself to different shit.
I always see these articles that are like, the music you listened to when you were 13 or 14 is like, that's the music you listen to forever.
You're stuck forever, you loser.
and it's, I don't want to be that way in any regard. I don't ever want to feel like I only like the things that I like, and I'm not ever going to look at that or experience other things, because you never know, and you never know what new, and I don't know that I'll ever connect with music in a way that I did in my youth, just because you're not as emotionally like
raw,
and like malleable and like looking for that thing to connect to. But I still like new experiences and finding new things and having new things to talk about and all these connections and stuff too. Like I think that's a really fun response to all this stuff. This is as good an excuse as any to do that.
This is a fun podcast. I like doing this, even though it is hard.
Most of the time, I like doing this. Sometimes it is a bit of a slog, but I think it's been a really fun. I mean, the listening, the recording, and doing the conversation part, that's almost always fun. But sometimes the listening
it's the research portion of it that gets a little homeworky at times.
To me, even the research is like, I can find some joy in that. Sometimes it's just the act of we're nerds. I have to listen to an hour's worth of music right
now.
The
real problem is that capitalism, because if we didn't have to deal with that, it wouldn't be as stressful to have to fit it into the schedule,
Yeah, I also just think it's like mood. Sometimes I'm,
well,
you want to do something else
sure.
and you have to, you got a time crunch. And our time crunch is getting more and more and more as we record closer and closer and closer to release dates. We've had kind of a backlog, but season 2 was kind of the end of our really long buffer zone. And so all this stuff in next season is going to be a little bit more recent as far as like listening, recording, recent to when it's put out. So I'm kind of interested to see how that kind of changes the shape of.
Hopefully the content doesn't suffer if we're suffering more because we're not taking as much time or whatever.
I think it will benefit from being able to be a little more timely
recent
with like references and stuff.
Yeah.
And hopefully we won't have some of the issues we had that were caused by our buffer zone.
Our buffer,
Thinking about season 3, is there any, without like spoiling any of the list of who you're gonna choose or anything like that, like where's your head at with the artist you're thinking about for season 3? Are there specific places you're gonna try to go? Are there specific things you're like looking to dig more into or avoid or that sort of thing?
That's a good question. So like thank you. So I've been because I was going to ask you a dumb question right before that. So which I'll ask you after we've answered this really good question of yours. I'll ask you a dumb one.
Okay.
So I kind of feel like it kind of varies depending on what's happening around the time that I choose each episode. In a way, like my mood, what I feel like listening to is kind of a factor.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's say you've chosen something that was a little bit unsavory for me, then I try to just go easy on myself and not go too outside of like what I know I already kind of enjoy. Like I felt like the first season felt more aligned with our like general tastes. Like we did a lot of rock and punk and a little bit of rap and classic stuff, but like Patsy Cline everybody likes, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then season 2, I feel like we kind of tried to get some new genres in there that we hadn't done in season 1, like metal, Tejano, like Fats even. So season 3, I kind of wanted to try to throw in some new genres. I'm trying really hard to, like, I want to choose some the way that you choose them. Just bands that I don't know that well, but I'm interested.
Mm-hmm.
But then, like, I try to do at least one band per year that I already know and I already like. Because sometimes I just want to listen to, like, somebody that I already am familiar with and I already know I like their songs. But also, most bands, I will say, I haven't, like, heavily researched. So, like, there's a lot of bands that I just really like their music and I just really would like an excuse to learn more about them.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, if we don't do them on the podcast, I'm not going to make time for that level of exactly. So like, we always kind of try to choose like influential bands or whatever sort of, or like genre mixing bands or
the kings, queens, godmothers, godfathers.
Yes, that kind of shit. Exactly. So, I have a few different directions that I wanted to try, but then also I change up my choices based on what you had chosen last. So,
it's not all predetermined.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't have like, and then I'm going to do this. There's always a rotating list of like probably between 3 to 4 that I'm seriously considering. And then by the time we've gotten done with one, I was like, okay, I kind of want to go in this direction.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. One of the things I want to do a little bit more of, I really like the older stuff, like I said, the Fats one, even if it wasn't the most, I don't find myself going back and listening to it. I do like hearing that reference,
the foundations.
Yeah. And so I really like the idea of those foundational artists. The trick is it really is harder before 1960 to go get all of their albums because they were all singles. And so it makes the way we do this a little bit more tricky. But I really liked that, like going back to the roots of things. So I don't want the whole thing to be the original artist or whatever, but I really did like going back. And so I may try to do a little bit more historical stuff.
Well, I was going to say, I have a bunch on my list like that I haven't done yet because of how hard it will be to access the material. But like, if you're open to more of that, I definitely have some like weirder. I've been thinking that too. Like, I've been really wanting to do some weird shit, but I didn't know if you would have how much pushback.
You think about my response to it way more than you need to. I want to go in weird direction. Like, I want to be
okay, cool.
I want to be pointed in a direction that I wouldn't normally think of because it came from your rain rather than you trying to pick something. Like, I'm not going to not do you know what I mean? I'm not
I just don't want to totally torture you or piss you off.
I don't want it to be torturous, but dude, you picked the Spice Girls and Tina Turner and Selena.
Those didn't even occur to me as ones that would like rub you the wrong way.
Aren't for me. So it's like, I'll listen to artists that aren't in my...
The one that I'm thinking of that like maybe wasn't or you didn't want to do maybe in the first place. I've been wanting to ask you how weird I can get here because like as far as the format goes.
To answer that question, I think it needs to be listenable for other people still, and I think it needs to have some amount of cultural cachet. Like, I don't think doing niche artists benefits us as a podcast.
Well, yeah, and like I feel like really super niche ones I haven't heard of anyway. You know,
I think there has to be some name recognition in the artists.
Yeah, totally. It's a delicate balance for you though, because I know you've like not wanted to do some, like the Beatles or
Yeah. I don't want to do stuff that's like there's literally
everybody's
nothing new
talked
to
about
say
forever.
about
Yeah,
any of
exactly.
them. Yeah, which was kind of the case with everything. But
well, yeah, I mean, when the artists are the biggest artists ever, like everybody, of course, has already said all this shit.
Yes.
But the thing is we're compiling all that information that everybody else has already said, and then smashing it into our little weird ass brains. And then whatever comes out is what this podcast is, which is hopefully somewhat entertaining.
It has been for me. So to me, a lot of it is just about the process. It's a fun thing it's a fun excuse to do this and to go through the recording and editing and releasing and all that.
Did you learn anything specific this season about anything? I got reminded that I'm just very concerned with integrity and authenticity.
It has been an exercise in forcing myself to think about and appreciate things that I think I've mentioned before, like I can be dismissive by default. And this has like forced me to not do that, to actually sit with something and think about like, what do I think? Why do I think that? Is that a valid way to think? Or am I just writing something off without really digging into it?
Or just like regurgitating what somebody else kind of similar to me thought about it, or whatever. Yeah, totally,
or saying the same opinion that I had in 2002.
Right, totally. Which is like that's the worst version of all of those. Like not changing from, especially from that far back.
But I mean, I think a lot of people do that. You form an opinion, and then that's your opinion about a thing, and so. To me, like a challenge for myself, I do want to find, and I think we do a pretty good job of this. I do want to make sure to like find redeeming qualities in all the artists. I think the nature of commenting on art is like, I really do think like it's really hard to make things and it's really impressive to make stuff, and people should make art even if it's bad art and even if I don't necessarily like it, as long as it's not like actively advocating harm to people. Like people should make art even if it's not good. So I don't really want to be in a position where I'm like
shitting on someone's attempt.
It's not an attitude of like, well, I could do it better than this, because no, I couldn't. Even if I did a version of that, it wouldn't be the same thing that you did. And by the fact that you made it, it has that intrinsic value because it was created by that specific person at that time. And not to say that you can't have opinions on things, but I don't want it to be, I want to really make sure that I'm conscientious of like finding that redeeming quality in it too, and like still acknowledging that it's hard to make things and it's impressive to get things made, and these people have done things that I will never, every single artist we're ever going to talk about has had a wider impact culturally than I'm likely to ever have,
Right. I feel like I'm pretty good at finding redeeming qualities about things in general as a person, but I do also vocalize what I don't like about stuff. So I fear sometimes that I come off as like, like a grumpy old man or whatever.
Yeah. And I think balancing that is kind of a goal for next season too.
I think I definitely did a better job of balancing it from season 1 to season 2. Hopefully I just keep getting better as a person every day. That's the goal. And the podcast will hopefully also be getting better every episode. So do you want to hear my dumb question that I had for you?
Yeah, let's do it.
Of all the bands in season 2, if you could only choose one to take to a desert island, which would it be?
Probably go with, boy, that's tough.
It is tough. I've got it narrowed down to about 3.
It's a toss-up between 2 for me.
Okay.
I think it would probably be, if I'm using this as the metric, I think it would be Chumbawamba, because it has the biggest variety of song styles. Like you'd still have a lot of options of, I feel like listening to some punk rock today. I feel like listening to some pop. I feel like listening to some rock, some folk. Like all that's going to be represented in their discography. And everybody else is a lot more tonally consistent. Even Iron Maiden, you know, it's like it's still going to sound like Iron Maiden every album.
Tonally consistent. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think I'd probably say Chumbawamba just for the variety.
That was my first instinct.
Mm-hmm.
But so back in the day, like when we were in fucking high school or whatever, and this was a super popular question to ask, I would always say, and this doesn't really make that much sense to me now because of course the answer is the B-52s, right?
For you.
Right. But let's say it wasn't. And what my answer always was back in the day was Sublime. And the reason is because Sublime seems like good music to listen to on an island to me.
Sure.
And so because of that, I would be going with the Gorillaz, I think, because I pretty much had it narrowed down to Chumbawamba and the Gorillaz. And Patty was in the running as well.
That was mine too, was Chumbo or Patty. But I think Gorillaz benefit from that. They do a lot of genre stuff too. There's a lot of variety in there too. So
there's a lot of variety. There's a lot of guest artists. And the main thing I was thinking with the Gorillaz is, like, other than the island energy, is the fact that it's the most danceable. And so they have mellow songs. They have enough variety that I could handle it. You know what I mean? And they have a lot of albums too. So that's mine. I can just imagine me like grooving on a beach to the Gorillaz for an eternity.
Yeah, I don't know if you want songs about a beach when you're trapped on a beach. That
plastic
feels
beach.
Like, yeah, it feels like your own kind of psychological punishment.
I think I might like that. When I travel places, I make playlists before I go that are like music from the region, so I can be musically in theme when I'm there or whatever, and like gearing up to the trip and stuff, and even winding down from the trip.
Is this a beach vacation or are we stranded on this beach?
Does it matter? I mean, yes. Any beach is a vacation if you ask me.
Tell that to Tom Hanks in Castaway.
Wilson!
You're knocking a tooth out with your ice skate. Not going to feel like a vacation.
Did that happen in that?
Yeah, you got to watch that movie again.
I haven't seen it like since it came out.
Well, I think that about does it for season 2. We've got 13 bands that oddly, when we do like our final season mixtape that we send all the Patreon people, like they oddly flowed together. And I think that's just me making the connection of having that experience of listening to them. But I always feel like those playlists have like a certain vibe to them that is surprisingly cohesive.
It is pretty surprising on this one too, because we go from like Tina to Iron Maiden to Selena. Like that's off the fucking rails. And then also L7 to Fats.
I don't know. Like somehow all these bands are connected in my mind now. So like I think all the songs kind of tied together a little bit better.
We'll let the audience be the judge of the cohesion of the playlists.
Yeah.
Because even if you're not getting the mixtape, they are available on streaming services.
All right. Well, we're heading into our little hiatus here so we can get caught up on the next season slate of artists. We'll be back in a couple of months. There will be some bonus episodes on Patreon in the meantime, so feel free to follow us on there. Until then, see you next time.
Party on, dude. Thank you for listening to Retrospectrum. Follow us on social media at Retrospectrum Pod. Subscribe to our Patreon at Retrospectrum Pod. And if you like what we do, leave a 5-star review. Tell your friends, tell your mom, tell your dog. Bye. Retrospectrum.